All right. Hey, welcome to the first episode of Rigs, Routes. Wow.
Take 537.
537? Oh man, the camera's all wiggly now. Okay, no, it's good. Okay, hey, welcome to the first edition. No, welcome to the first episode. Yeah, episode. Okay, let me start over. I can't look over there. I have to be looking at this. No, that doesn't help. That doesn't help. It was better where it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
My version of a weekly vlog.
Why don't you do this?
Because I'm not good.
But you're the one telling me what to do.
Director. Alright, go.
Okay, director.
Take 538.
Okay, take 538. Hey, welcome to the first episode of Rigs, Routes, and Recaps. This is going to become, I don't know, maybe a weekly vlog, a bi-weekly vlog, maybe only monthly. It depends on how much we have to talk about. But I want to cover some things for our community that we've created here in the form of Jeep updates or gear updates that we have, camping gear, things like that. If we have upcoming events and adventures, things that I want to notify you guys of coming up in the future, and then a topic of the week. And our topic this week is actually going to be camping gear that just works for us. That's a lot of words. Camping gear that works for us. How's that? Okay. So first of all, let me get something out of the way. I first of all want to say thanks to everybody. This community that's started in our YouTube channel is really phenomenal. Thanks to everybody that's subscribed. Thanks to everybody that's liked the videos. I can't thank you guys enough. I really appreciate it. When we made our first video way back 6-7 months ago, which was just our Jeep JLU walk around, of the modifications we made to the Jeep, I went to bed that night thinking I might get 20 views or something like that. So I can't believe how that's blown up. And I think we're at something like 35,000 views or more. And that's fantastic. And each week that goes on, we try to put out a video each week, and we've been getting more views and more subscribers, and this is fantastic. I didn't know that we'd even have a YouTube channel, so this is really cool. Second of all, I owe you guys a quick recovery update. Some of you guys know that I kind of ate it and had a pretty nasty crash on the mountain bike about 5 weeks ago. I think I'm into week 5 now in my recovery. I'm still walking with a little stick for the most part, just to make sure. I can walk without it, but my physical therapist watches me walk and I've got a little limp, and she's like, no, don't do that. You need to use this so that I walk normal until I can put all the weight on that leg. And my shoulder is feeling pretty crappy sometimes. I can't quite drink a beer with this hand yet or anything like that, but it's getting better, way better than it was in the beginning. And so I've got physical therapy almost every day of the week right now, and hopefully that will get me back in the Jeep sooner, because right now I don't think I can climb into the Jeep for another adventure. That leads me to, I want to do a quick recap of the latest video that we just put out, and just kind of a public service announcement. I've been injured for about 5 weeks. I could only create videos based on the content that we already had in the hopper. And frankly, I've run out of content. So the last video I put out was footage that we filmed literally like a year ago, maybe more than a year ago. And it was one of our first overlanding trips to Oahe Wilderness, where we went through the Alvord Desert. And that was an amazing adventure. All I had was, I just bought a drone to film some things, and the footage that we took, that was handheld footage, was all done on cell phones. We didn't have a GoPro or any kind of a camera. So I was kind of embarrassed by the content, and so I never published anything. Our last video, I didn't have anything else, so I stitched what I had together there and took you guys on a ride through Alvord Desert, Oahe Wilderness, and our experience there all the way to Steens Mountain. And I was blown away at the response. You guys watched the video. It's one of my best performing videos to date, and that means a lot to me. That's really cool, because frankly, I didn't even know if anybody would want to watch that content. So that's just a quick recap of that. Thank you guys again. The community is responding. That's huge. Let me go through. So let's kick off with the topics that I talked about. So let's hit Jeep updates. So on that front, I've got an actual kind of a clunk or clacking sound in the front end right now that's happening when I'm going over rough terrain and things like that. I thought maybe initially it might be the FAD unit or something like that was making a clicking noise in there, but I don't think that's it. And so it could boil down to something like a track bar that's loose on one end, or maybe a caliper bolt is loose. But bottom line, I need to get under there. I need to diagnose that. If you guys are having a similar issue, I'll post a video on that as I go through it. Again, I have to recover enough to where I can turn wrenches and get under there, but I'm hoping that'll be soon. And we'll take you guys along for that repair and see what it is. I've also got some fenders to install. I think you guys know some metal cloak fenders and inner fender liners. I'll do a video on that too coming up as soon as I'm well enough to do that. And then there's tires. I'm about due for tires. I've been using the Patagonias, not known for getting a lot of miles out of them, right? I think we've got 20-something thousand miles on them now. But I don't want to run them until they're completely bald or down too low. So I've started looking to replace those tires. Can't find the same tire in the same size anymore. They seem to be out of stock everywhere. And so we're looking at, let's just say we're looking at other alternatives. We're looking at Nittos, we're looking at Coopers, we're looking at everything that comes in a tire that is going to meet my size, my mileage, my requirements basically. I'm building out a matrix. I'll publish a video based on this as well, so you guys can see the pain we're going through in selecting our next tire choice and what goes into it. And maybe it might help you guys if you're trying to select new tires as well. And maybe you guys can chime in on whatever I generate there, but that should be good. And then events coming up. We've got an event that I know about in November that is being put on by 395 Junkie. If you're not aware of his YouTube channel, go check it out. It's a really good event for the Wounded Warriors. So we bought a ticket, donated to Wounded Warriors, and we're going to attend that. And I think some of you guys might be going too. And if you're there, hit us up, reach out. If you see us there with the dogs, come by, introduce yourselves. I want to meet more of you guys and keep growing this little community we have here. It's really fun, and I hope to see you guys there. Also, we want to actually go back and retrace our steps through Oahe Wilderness, Alvar Desert, and do something that comes all the way down into Black Rock Desert through some really cool places we know about. We've done the route a couple times through Massacre Rim and stuff, and we're going to go back and really chronicle and document it much better than we have in the past and put together some good content there. So that'll be an upcoming adventure. And then we've got some local stuff we'll be doing just in the Tahoe National Forest and El Dorado area that we're in here, and maybe even the coast, and take you guys along for a ride. So those are upcoming events. So let's move now to the topic du jour for this week, which is camping gear that really works for us. And I want to say, first of all, I'm not sponsored by any of these guys. We pay for this stuff with all of our own money, and so I can basically say good, not good. I'll dish on these guys if stuff sucks, but what I want to do this week is stuff that we actually really like, things that have worked out well for us, and I don't know that I mentioned them enough. So let me start with our tent, and this is a bit controversial because we're still using a ground tent, and I know that a lot of you guys out there that are overlanding like us are all in rooftop tents, and I gotta say, let me get it out of the way, I don't have anything against rooftop tents. In fact, I'm super envious. I wish a lot of times we had a rooftop tent, because we roll into a campsite and it's muddy, or it's not level, or just something where you got your vehicle and you also need room for the ground tent, and that can be a pain, I'll be honest. But the ground tent is big enough for all four of us. Me, my wife, and two 70-pound dogs, two golden retrievers. And that's what this channel is all about, is overlanding with those two guys. They're like our family. So we would love to have a rooftop tent, and it's all about size, and with size usually comes weight in a lot of cases. Now things are getting better, and the dogs have to be able to get up and down into that rooftop tent if we want to go that way. And I think I may have found something that's going to work. I'll let you guys know. I don't want to give it away right now, but we may have a solution, and I'll talk more about that in a future video. But getting back to the T4 Hub Tent. So the Gazelle T4 Hub Tent is what we use today. But if you've watched our videos and you've seen our campsite, you'll note that it's a green tent and we've got an orange bag, orange tent bag. The difference being is the green one that came in the green bag is not the Overland edition, and the orange one is. So let's talk about that. What's the difference in the tent? In terms of the green tent and the orange tent, the only difference is the color. That's it. As far as all the research I've done and talking to Gazelle, there's no difference between the tents other than the color. So that's pretty much it. Now, the Gazelle tent, let's just talk about the tent to get this out of the way. We have used that tent in hot weather, and you can open the windows up in that thing and get really good ventilation. It's got a lot of big windows in it and stuff like that. So when you compare it to something like another hub tent like the Shift Pod, for instance, which has the little portal windows, I don't know if that's going to give you as much ventilation, but it may give you more insulation from the heat elements. So we've used it in the heat in the desert. We've used it in the cold on Steens Mountain in really cold temperatures. We've been in thunder showers, wind-driven rain, you name it. That tent has been really good to us. We have not had water leaking in. I would have expected it. Trust me. In the rain and thunder showers we've been in, I would have expected to have some wetness inside the tent, and we haven't seen that at all. Condensation issues. We do get condensation in the tent in certain conditions, but it's never been a problem. It's never been like, oh my gosh, we break it down, put it in the bag, get to our next campsite, set it up, and it's wet inside. That just doesn't happen. So every tent's going to have a little bit of condensation in really cold temperatures, especially with 4 bodies in there breathing and putting out, moisture. But it hasn't been an issue. So condensation has been really good. We've used it in pretty much every condition I could think of except snow. We've never camped in that tent in the snow. That might change this year. We'll see how things play out this winter with rooftop tent, this tent, and things when it starts to really snow. But we really want to try camping in the snow this year and see how it goes. So the other things I want to call out, and we compared the green tent to the orange tent, the difference being the Overland Edition. What comes with the Overland Edition? Well, first of all, the orange bag is, I think, maybe a little more waterproof and slightly better zipper. I'll have to look at the zipper. I still have the green bag. But so you've got the tent bag, and we put that thing on the roof and we drive through downpours and stuff, and the tent stays dry. So that bag really works really, really well. The other thing that comes with the Overland Edition is better stakes. These stakes are bomber. They are really good, especially when you compare them to other tent stakes that we had that actually came with the green tent. I've hammered this thing into the ground in Death Valley where the ground was like a rock, and it was bomber. It was really good. Now, I have actually bent one. Actually, I may have bent a couple of them, but they straighten right out and they're reusable, and it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But it takes a lot to bend these suckers. The other thing I will say is I have accidentally driven these into when we were camping pretty close to some trees to get away from some windy conditions one time. I drove these into some pretty big roots in the tree, and when I went to pull it out, I couldn't get it out by hand, and so I went to pry it out with an axe, and I broke one of these off. And then I since learned at that time that you could take and grab a hold of this with a pair of pliers, and it's almost threaded down here, and screw it right out, and that worked really well. So note to self, don't try and rip it out of a tree root by the plastic or nylon ends, but those are really good. The other thing that comes with the Overland Edition is the footprint. You don't get that with the regular green one. And so I think it's worth it, guys, just to go ahead and buy the Overland Edition of that tent. It's worth the extra money. You get the extra pieces, but as far as tents go, ground tents go, wholehearted recommendation. The Gazelle has been good for us. There might be better that we haven't experienced out there, but the ease of use of this and how fast it goes up and how fast it comes down, I can't imagine using anything other than a hub tent going forward for our needs. It's just easy to break down, quick and easy setup. So top things: quick and easy setup, big enough for all 4 of us, stands up to all the weather conditions. It's a great tent. So that's the tent. Second item I want to talk about today is our ExPed air mattresses that we use. We have mine and my wife's, and I don't know if we get them mixed up. I don't know. It's like they look the same. We can't tell them apart. But these things, and now you see they roll up pretty small for a mattress, I would say. And this is a 4-inch mattress, right? So when it's inflated, it's 4 inches thick. It's not as small as you'd want to see for something for hiking, but for overlanding, this is pretty killer, and it's pretty small. Now, again, rooftop tent, if we were in there, we'd have a totally different mattress, but we still need these mattresses. And I'll actually show what it's like to air it up. But essentially, if you take this out of the bag, just kind of lay it out in the tent and walk away, and you come back, later in the evening when it's closer to time to actually go to bed, this thing almost inflates itself completely. And then what I use is just a flex tail. If you guys aren't familiar with these little flex tails, these are clutch, right? So I mean, literally turn this guy on and air up your tent or air up your mattress. It goes really, really quick, and you're really just topping it off. It takes like a minute, less than a minute really, with this to finish off the mattress, and it's up to the firmness that you want. Okay, so when you first roll this out, you can see, and by the way, this is gonna be tough for me because my hip and shoulder still hurt, but you can see it's not totally inflated, but it inflates itself pretty well. And then all you need to do after about 5 minutes of this just sitting in the tent is pop your pump right in here, kick it on, and that will inflate it the rest of the way. So let's look at how long this takes. It's actually pretty quick. I'll put a timer up here so we can see about how long it takes, but it doesn't take long. I want to say it's just a minute or two, and we're fully inflated to where we want this mattress to be. Yeah, that's about it right there. That's inflated. And in fact, that might even be too firm for me. When it's too firm, it's actually uncomfortable. It can be literally too firm. Now, some people may like it that firm. We tend to let air out, and so it conforms to your body a little better, and it's fantastic. So 4 inches thick, very comfortable. The R rating on these things is an 8.1, right? So in terms of insulation on cold ground, it works really, really good. In fact, a lot of times I'll just have the mattress, and instead of getting in my sleeping bag, I'll just unzip the sleeping bag, the down bag, put it over the top of me or under me, and then I'll have a quilt or something like that. And in the tent with my wife and 2 dogs in really cold temperature, we're usually really good without even using a tent heater of any kind. And in fact, the only tent heater we have is a diesel heater, and we have yet to use the thing. So when we get into really cold, snowy winter weather conditions, that will probably change. But we've been in some pretty darn cold temperatures without snow, and we do pretty well in there. And I think it's all 4 of us keeping each other warm, but it works really good, and that mattress is clutch. So again, that was the ExPed Megamat 10 is what this is called. And we have 2 of these, so that works really, really good. That's the mattress. All right, there's a third item I wanted to talk about today, and that is the Devos Lightranger 2000, I think is what it's called. And this is a pickup that we got at Expo, Pacific Northwest. And there was an older version of this that they sold where you had a amber cover and a red cover if you wanted the light to change colors. But as you can see now, it's actually, the LEDs are built in. So you can switch from white to amber to red just with the click of a switch. And that's pretty cool. The other thing that's pretty cool is you can go from 4 lit up areas to 2. So you're lighting up one side to 1 if you're just wanting to light up over here. And that's also pretty cool. And I think you'd get more battery life out of it using it that way. But normally we stick it kind of right in the middle of the campsite between the vehicles, and it lights up the whole camp area really, really well. And you can actually extend this up to pretty tall. I think we've had this up well over 8 or 10 feet or so, and it sheds a lot of light on the campsite. And then the last thing I'll point out about this, there's 2 things. One of them is that, this kind of hurts my shoulder a little bit. Bear with me a sec, I think I can get it off. You can pop this off, and you can see there's a hoop here. You could actually take and hang that in your tent, take it into the tent with you and use it in the tent. Or if you went ahead and they also make a sensor, motion sensor that goes on here and plugs right into the USB port, so that if you leave this outside the tent and leave it on, if you have to get outside the tent to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night or something, and it picks you up in motion, it'll light up the whole campsite so you can find your way to the restroom, or whatever you're doing. Or if something or someone happens to wander into your campsite, it's going to set off the motion sensor and light up the campsite that way too, which is also a good thing, right? Both for you to notice if something's wandered into the campsite or if somebody's wandered into the campsite and the light comes on. I think that's a bit of a deterrent, right? If you guys watch the pack out video, you've probably seen where most of this stuff gets packed and how that Devos light folds down into something nice and small and tucks into an area. And that's kind of a clutch thing for us too, because let's face it, we don't have a ton of room in the Jeep, and being able to fit it in there is kind of a big deal. So those are the 3 items I'm going to cover this week. But if you guys have seen things in our videos, camping gear that we use, and you'd like to hear more about those or have me review them on here, talk about the good, the bad, the ugly with those items, say something down in the comments or just reach out to me. And I'll definitely do a quick little review of those items for you guys in the future. Also, if you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe down below. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Cut.